So yesterday I beat Dark Souls 3 for the first time, without dying. And so I thought I would just review and go over that real quick and just see what I did and how I made it through. By the way, this is like by no means streamlined or efficient at all. This is just how I did it. I learned a few tips and stuff from videos on runs, but for the most part, this is just me kind of doing it myself. So there's definitely a lot that can be done to improve it. Anyway, I'm gonna hit start. So the first thing is it's important to pick Mercenary and to use the Young White Branch, and I'll tell you why right here. So Mercenary lets you have the Sellsword Twin Blades, which are incredibly useful because they are actually one of the best weapons in the game. They scale really well with dex, and so you'll see us leveling dexterity throughout this to try to increase our damage as much as possible. The other thing is the Young White Branch is also very important because what that lets us do is the giant that shoots at us at the cathedral and in the undead settlement will actually not be able to even damage us or impact us or aim at us if we choose the Young White Branch starting out. So that'll just let us get through there easier. The first stop I have to make is on the left. I have to make this jump over to here to get the first Titanite shard, and what that does is it's a upgrade material. Basically in the game there are Titanite materials that can be used to upgrade your weapons, and so you need 12 Titanite shards to get the first upgrade levels, 12 large Titanite shards, and then 12 Titanite chunks. And that'll let you get to +9, which is what we're going to be trying to do throughout the run. This first boss here is Udak's Gundyr. At this point I had probably fought him well over 50 times, so I'm just because of so many resets. So I'm basically just going and hitting him here, and at this point he staggers, because if you hit him a certain amount of times in the right spots, in timing, then he'll actually do that, which is nice, and lets you get a lot of extra damage. But anyway, so we just finish him off. He staggers twice, and then we just head to the door. There's another strat using fire bombs, but it's just better because I wasn't really going for speed as much as I was just trying to finish it, I guess, without dying, to use the Young White Branch and to be safe. But we're going to use a couple things here in Firelink Shrine to get our materials ready for the rest of the run. The first thing is I think I grab a dagger and a firebomb from the handmaid, and we'll see what we do with that later. The dagger won't come into play for a while, but we're gonna go ahead and use the firebomb now. Also, I'm losing frames throughout this entire thing because it's my first time using recording instead of streaming, and so my settings were a bit funky and bad, and I was lagging. But this is the tree jump. It takes me a few tries to get it here, but basically what you do is you can actually skip a certain item that you need to get up here by running up on that tree and then jumping onto the roof. And the reason you do that is because otherwise you'd have to wait until later in the game to be able to get here. But because we can come here now, we can trade the firebomb with the crow in this nest and get upgrade materials for later. We get a large Titanite shard, and there's also an Estus flask for healing. And then we just go through that wall and drop down, and we can get the Silver Serpent Ring, and that lets us get more souls for each kill, which will be helpful in just getting those levels up ASAP. Next thing I'm going to do is just enforce my Estus flasks, and then I'm just going to head out. Or I'll put some levels into Vigor, I think, first, and then I'm going to go.
Be careful.
I don't know if I'll leave the audio in for this or not, but you might hear like tapping like that throughout it. It's because the way I'm holding my controller, when I'm spamming a button, it hits the table, so because the sprint button in Dark Souls for some reason, and it can't. I don't think it can be remapped. Actually, it might be. I don't know, but it's the B button or the circle on PlayStation, and so you have to claw grip on like the right side of your controller throughout most of the run. Also, a lot of these splits are going to end up being blank, and that's because I'm still getting used to using splits, and I don't have them auto updating, and so I have to do it manually. I have to press a hotkey to end the split every time I get past it, and I just didn't remember for a lot of them. So you'll see I end up forgetting a lot of them, so sorry about that. Another thing is, up in the top right is my personal best. I got that maybe like a week ago, maybe a little bit less. Yeah, I finished it in 2 deaths in a little bit under 2 hours, but this will be my first no death. So we're gonna head up here instead of going down the stairs. And the reason for that is dropping down right here and grabbing an item called Gold Pine Resin. We can put this on our sword during some of the bosses to increase our damage for like 30 seconds or whatever every time we use it. I'm gonna head up here. You can go to the right, it doesn't matter. I like going up here because I feel like it's safer, but yeah, there's like a dragon. But he can't really hit you if you know what you're doing, if you're fast. Then I'm just gonna jump across here and keep going. So there's gonna be a knight that tries to block this doorway, but you just roll around him. He's not really a threat. I think I might grab the fire bombs here. No, I don't. Okay, good. Because I don't really have to, it turns out. So I'm gonna drop down. I think I actually grabbed these though. No, I don't. Okay, good. But I drop onto this platform, and if you do the drops exactly like that, you can avoid taking fall damage. You grab black fire bombs. We'll be using those way later. We just need one, but that's the fastest way to get it. And I kind of just hit him on the head there. It's because I was too impatient to let him move. Then I'm just gonna keep going. So there's a boss down to my right, but to get past the area after the boss, we need an item from this room called the Small Lothric Banner or something like that. So we're just going to talk to her and grab it. It's just kind of an annoying little thing you have to do before you fight the boss. So I'm going to keep going. And these knights are really annoying, but I don't know. My frame rate is awful right now. But yeah, I took a lot of damage there. I'm going to go ahead and put the Gold Pine Resin in my taskbar so that I have it ready for this fight. And then I'm going to go ahead and start it by just walking to the door. And the trick with this boss is that he actually only has one attack in his first phase that can even hit you as long as you're walking towards him. So pretty much I'm just walking at him and just swinging as much as I can. I didn't have to roll there, but I don't know, I guess I'll be safe. I'm not wearing any armor right now, so I can move faster, but here's where he starts phase 2. He's going to do these annoying dashing attacks, and my frame rate is going to plummet to 0. Anyway, just dodge with him, and end up with him on the last one, and you just finish him off. You'll pretty much always get frostbitten here. It's annoying, but it's not dangerous. It doesn't do any damage. So. If I'd remembered to do the split, I think I would have actually beaten my PB by like 1 second, so. Anyway, so we used the banner, and I think I was checking something here, so I didn't skip the cutscene immediately, but. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually head to the left, and we're going to grab alluring skulls from these dogs. And what this lets us do is when you throw them, it'll actually attract enemies to them and basically get them away from you. So we're going to use that once or twice throughout here, but this dog gave me some trouble. Dogs are the hardest bosses in the game. For anyone who's played, you'll know. I mean, look at this, like, I don't know. There's 3 more up here, but I think I actually got past them without a problem, which is nice. But yeah, we're just gonna head to the left. avoid this guy. Don't worry about him. Yeah, so none of the dogs chase me here, luckily. But there's these two guys in the doorway right here that like to block it. So I'm just trying to get past them. And we're gonna run to the right. And that guy was stuck in the floor. But we're gonna run to the right, grab the pine bundle, which we're gonna use later too. And then we're gonna drop off. I think I'm gonna grab the Estus shard right here to be safe for later. And then we need a Titanite shard from the porch over here. Right here, yeah. Like I will always meet. Okay, never mind. I was wrong. Doesn't always meet. Yeah, these two assassins are annoying, but I don't know. As long as you're not a no-hit runner, it's not a big deal. Another cool thing about these enemies is right there, you'll see me roll into them. If you roll into an enemy in this area, they'll just stagger and get stunned. But yeah, we run along the right side here, and we grab a Titanite shard and some souls. And then we just stay to the right, tag him, drop down, and we need this crystal lizard. You have to get it on your first try though, because if you don't, then you have to go all the way back to that bonfire. You can't approach him from the bonfire here, because he'll just run away. That gives us the sharp gem, but to actually infuse it we need a coal, which is the fire and coal. That's my split name here. So we need to go get that so we can infuse the sharp gem into my swords. We do a little jump here. It's not hard at all. You just run up the wall and jump once you're like partially up it to grab the Mortician's Ashes. I think that lets me buy charcoal pine, but I could be wrong. I don't totally remember what that does, but I think it was that. Anyway, these guys are really annoying. Just get past them however you want. I kind of just brute force my way. And we're not actually going to fight the Cursed Rock Greatwood, so we don't have to turn left and then go all the way in, but we are actually going to step into the arena for just a second to try to send Hodrick home, because when you go into a boss arena, NPCs have to leave. So we just tap it, send him home, and then we keep going. We're gonna head to the right here because there's a small little envoy on our left that blocks the bridge, full of like dogs and an evangelist. We're gonna do a little skip here, I think. Yeah, so the evangelist seems to either be glitched or to have seen me. So I'm gonna have to do something. I'm gonna have to improvise, but basically we do a little skip to the right here. It's not a big deal. You can literally just go around, but I don't know. I think it's fun. We just plunging attack the evangelist and get the dog off the ledge. Right here, we need to run to the right, so we're gonna dodge these two pots and run up onto here. And the reason we do this isn't really for the soul, it's to get these two guys way over in the corner so that when we make a run for the door, they won't be able to follow us. And there's a strat where if they do follow you, you can get them to jump off the ravine on the left, but we don't end up having to do that. And we just open the door to the elevator. Also, in normal speedruns, you'd be quitting out every time you hit a door and loading back in because it's faster, but I don't know, I don't really care. I'm not going for speed really all that much. Like, I have a timer, but it's more about just finishing it. I go ahead and use some souls here because I have some downtime. Then we're gonna head down, and there's an Outrider Knight down here that has a few attacks. It's really annoying too because he has one that he can just kind of use immediately as you walk up to him, and one that he can delay a lot, so you have to be able to read it and dodge right. So we ended up delaying it and doing a really rare uppercut, actually, that is not common at all. Normally either there's a poke or like a flurry of swings, but it's not a big deal. It's not very hard to dodge. So then we're just going to continue through here. And what I think is kind of funny here, this is considered like the easiest area to speedrun in the entire game because the enemies literally don't try to stop you at all. They just kind of stand there and until you're already gone. Yeah, there's not much to say. Here's something. For anyone who hasn't played the game, the idea is you have to kill a series of like 3 or 4 like main bosses to get to the final boss, and then once you kill that final boss, you're done. But to progress around the world to get to these other bosses, we need to sometimes go through smaller bosses or different areas and shortcuts. So go ahead and drop off to the left here, because we need that Titanite shard that you'll see. We can get the dog to get lowered over here, and I didn't think he could hit me, but it turns out he can. We just do a plunging attack on him and send him flying. But normally you'd fight these guys, but I think I had a bad run last time when I came down here and I got beat up, so I just didn't feel like messing with him. This is the Fern Coal that we're going to go to right here. The problem is there's these 2 crucifix victims who will chase you, and they can pretty much outrun you, but even still we need to run towards the knight and get him to chase us so that we can head around to the right without aggroing him once we drop down. So once he's out of the way, we can actually drop down and they won't chase us past here. And grab the fire and coal, and we just homeward bone back to the last bonfire. So now at this point, once we go back to Firelink Shrine, we can infuse our weapon and upgrade it to +4 once we have the materials for reinforcing also. We're just on our way to Fern Swamp right now. I forgot to do the split here. I forgot to time it, but it's not a big deal. Yeah, we're just on our way to the swamp so we can go to the Abyss Watchers and get the crystal lizards and stuff. There's a Titanite shard here on the left we need to grab, and then there's a second one right forward from it, in between all these crabs. This one gets annoying because sometimes they'll trap you and poison you, but just try to just get past them. The more time you spend there, the more likely you are to get poisoned. And this part is really important. When you're going through this area, stay to the left side of the swamp. Don't cross any trees that you don't have to on your right, because if you do, you can get invaded by an NPC called Hazel, who will be basically just another enemy you'll have to fight. And until you kill him, you can't use any bonfires or anything like that. But I like to grab the Fallen Knight set here, just because I like to wear it. I think that it's really efficient. And then we're going to lure these 2 NPCs off to the left, so I can pretty much just get him to come over here by grabbing this and getting his attention. And we chase them both until they're off the stairs and on the grass, and just run up. And I'm going to grab these homeward bones, but you don't have to. It's optional. I would recommend not doing it because they'll chase you and get too close to you when you're near the ladder. But to kill these guys, you don't have to, but I like to do it for souls. It's really risky, but what you can do is just get onto this ladder once they get close. And this guy was really apprehensive to do it. But basically, they'll kind of just swing at you until they eventually fall into the pit and just die of fall damage. This guy comes in eventually. That guy just runs in like a dumbass. I don't know, I thought that was funny, but then there goes Shrek, and we get both of their corpses and their souls and shit. So that's just an easy way to make some money, as long as you don't get unlucky, because they can knock you off the ladder and stuff. I recommend if you get hit while you're on the ladder, just come back up and then get back on the ladder to regen your stamina. But we're gonna grab the dagger here that we bought earlier, and it has a weapon art that lets you do this little side step. So normally in the deep swamp here, you would walk very slow, but using this weapon art, you can spam it and quick step through the entire swamp like that, which is way faster. So that's why we have the dagger. So we need to extinguish these 3 little fires like this throughout the swamp to open the door to the Abyss Watchers. So here's the first one. There's also some upgrade materials we're going to go for. The problem is on my right here, or sorry, forward right here, is this swamp beast. It was actually really dangerous. There's another one on my left, but he's out of range, so he's not really a threat, as long as I stay towards the stairs. But you'll see I got a bug here where he kind of just started walking in circles, so I figured, okay, he's not doing his normal route, so I can't sneak by him normally, so I'll just try my best. He ended up spotting me right here. And so I think I make a run for it, and then I end up quitting out because it's just not worth the risk. So what quitting out does it will reset every enemy in the area that you're in. And so by doing this, we can basically set him back to his original position. However, I think he was still close enough to see me and stuff, so I grabbed the Titanite shard and I think I just did. Yeah, normally this wouldn't happen. I think that's the only time I quit out, other than maybe one other time, just because, in my opinion, it isn't incredibly fair, because it was a bug anyway that he was even moving in circles like that. Also, quit outs are allowed. It's not against the rules. People do it in speedrunning constantly. In fact, to the point where it's incredibly tedious, and overdone, and kind of annoying to watch. So I try not to do it, but I do it when I have to, I guess. Which is that time, or those 2 times, and then one other time in the run. So anyway, we grabbed those Titanite shards. There should be 3 that we just grabbed. And then we're going to head up this giant ladder to the Old Wolf bonfire. And we need to grab something here behind it, an invisible wall called the Dream Chaser's Ashes. And that'll let us buy, I think, the 6 alluring skulls and 3 gold pine resins that we're going to need way later in the run. So I like that so I can teleport back to it later. You don't... Well, yeah, I mean, there's other routes you can use here, but this is the one I prefer. It's not super efficient at all. It's just simple and easy to do. But it's much slower. Anyway, so we come up this elevator, and we need to kill these 2 crystal lizards that are going to be over here for 2 large Titanite chunks. So we can get to +4 before Abyss Watchers. +4 upgrade out of 10. What you'll see me do here is I stay to the right to force the first crystal lizard off to the left, because if I don't, he'll run towards the other one, and then the other one will disappear before you can kill it. Because once they run away, they try to disappear, or like fade away. So I make sure this one runs to its left, so that it doesn't get near the other one and provoke it. So anyway, I kill it. I grab that shield just in case I want to sell it later. I don't end up even bothering, but it's whatever. You don't have to grab it. Anyway, then I come and kill the second one and grab the next Titanite shard. And at this point, we're almost to having enough materials for +12. +4. I think I forget to do that split too. Yeah, I think I do. Anyway, we're gonna head back down. And what I like to do here is something I learned from a YouTuber called Squilla. His name is Squillikilla. And he's actually a really good no-hit runner. He does the game without taking any hits. Or he's even done, I think, no damage on soul level 1. It's insane. But I actually do this thing called the reverse swamp strat, where instead of coming from the normal front of the swamp, you come around the back. And at this point, we're in the back. This is like the exit. And we come towards the front to get the other 2 fires that we need to extinguish to open the door, instead of coming from the front and going towards the back. But we come back and we drop down for a Titanite shard here. I think I provoked like a dog or something, which kind of sucks, but I don't know. He beats me up a bit. But we stay to the left here, because I'd rather provoke these dogs than the swamp beasts on the right. There are like 3 of them in a circle. So, sorry. So then we just head on to the next fire. I think there's one Titanite shard on the right that we're going to grab. And we have to be careful not to sprint, I think, too close to that satyr in the distance there, because he's actually like a special one that uses no weapon, but he's way more aggressive. Here we hit the wall to get the attention of this guy, and he comes around the corner to investigate. And the idea is we hit him before he has time to actually do an attack, because he's kind of like in alert mode, but he's not like, he doesn't know what's going on, so he won't queue up an attack. And so we try to get him around the corner and then hit him before he can react. But that time my weapon hit the wall and I kind of got screwed. It ended up costing me a lot of health. which sucks even more because throughout this entire section I'm poisoned, so I'm constantly losing health. And I still have like 2 more guys to kill. So I think right here I end up getting a purple moss clump, so I can cure my poison. Normally you wouldn't even bother with it, but I was really low on health, and I still have a little while to go, so... So I'll cure the poison there. And then... I'm out of healing now, so I have to wait till my next bonfire before I can heal again. So, and it sucks even more because this whole place is like poisoned. So I stay to the left here to avoid the satyr I mentioned before. And then we just head up to the last bonfire. I started the last flame. We provoke this guy right here to get him away from the other one that's sitting there. And, I mean, just kill him however's most efficient. Or at least safest. And this guy just does not react even once I bump into him, so just backstab him and then just chain him until he's dead. He kind of jumped away from me here. That was scary, but it ended up being fine, I guess. It was close, though. My health was really low throughout this. I think if he hit me again, I might have been killed by poison. But that's our last flame, and so we're going to skip this cutscene, and we're going to go ahead and work back to Firelink so that we can upgrade. I think I'm going to grab the Estus shard over here, and also an extra Titanite chunk, because I think I forgot how many I had. But I just get that for extra healing later. And I think if that squid hit me, the slug, I might have been killed. But I grabbed that and then I just head back. So we have a couple things. Mainly we need to infuse our weapon to sharp so it scales with dexterity. And then we need to reinforce it to +4. So I give him the coal so he can infuse my weapon. Then we reinforce it all the way to +4 and infuse it to sharp. And I think I reinforced my Titan or my Estus flasks too, but I might have forgotten. Anyway, I get to like 20 health and or 15 health. Well, what did I do? 16? Okay. And 20 dex. And then I head out. That's pretty much what I'm leveling throughout this entire thing, is just dex and vigor. Undead bone shards that I just burned allow you to get extra healing from flasks. And then I just head back to go kill Abyss Watchers. There's a little bit running through here that's important to note. There's going to be these 2 sort of NPC type enemies called Dark Wraiths who are really dangerous, and so for me, I just kind of, or not just for me, I think everyone does this just because they don't want to mess with them because they're really scary. But you just kind of walk behind them once you get to this hill here until they're out of the way. They'll eventually get provoked by other satyrs and start running after them, and so you can just kind of hang out here behind them until they're gone. I just go ahead and use all my souls that I have just to be not wasting time. But yeah, they just walk up there, just stay back, and they won't notice you. And then once they're distracted, you can make a run along the right side to the boss fight. So now I head over here. I think I kill the satyr sitting down here so I can grab the ember, if I remember right. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea. I just kind of felt like I should. I think maybe to stay safe. And then if you sprint here and then stop behind this tree and jog the rest of the way, that dude with the sword, spear and shield there won't notice you till it's too late. And then we just keep going. Don't stray off too far to the right though, because there's another satyr that can see you, and he's much faster. But we just go into the arena, and pretty much we're just gonna fish for backstabs throughout this entire fight. There's 2 phases, 2 health bars. So we're pretty much just trying to get behind them and get the backstabs in throughout both of the phases. Although phase 2 is much more passive just because it's more dangerous. He has friends that kind of get summoned and help him throughout this phase. And so we spend a lot of the time just waiting for them to kind of fight amongst each other or go away. Or die off or whatever. Because they like to fight each other. There's usually one that's kind of like on your side. This one right here with the red eyes will often be trying to help you. And so we just try to get rid of the kind of extra guys with smaller health bars before we can fight the main boss. He's being fucked right now, but because they're distracted, I go ahead and go for the boss and just get absolutely laid out. Which, you know, you don't want to do. But I get behind him and I think I get a backstab. Yep. I just kind of let the NPC help me out. This is a really slow fight for me, and I have a lot of room to improve it, but this is kind of where it is now for me. It's just really passive and just waiting for your things. Especially since we have so little health at this point, and armor and whatnot. Actually, we don't get any more armor, but you know. So we just kind of let them fight. Because both of the ones that are alive right now are hostile towards me, I'm really just playing it safe and trying to get rid of this one when I have the chance, so I can fight the main one. I know I have some room on him, and so I just finish him off. And then a friendly one jumps up from back there, and I'm gonna let him do some of the work here, just to stay safe. I think I messed up with a backstab there. Yeah, I think I might even just let him finish him off. Yeah. And I try to get away from that spot because that's where the guy's gonna spawn in phase 2, but I don't really get away. I need time to... Oh, no, I do. Okay. I need time to apply gold pine resin for the second phase to do extra damage. And then we just kind of run away and bait out a couple of certain attacks that will let us get backstabs in without getting hurt. Because we can get killed really easily with that sword when it's on fire. We bait out this attack, and if you time it just right, you can get past before he starts spinning again, and just go for the backstab as he's facing away from you. I'd say you have maybe like a half-second window to get in there, so that you aren't so early that you get hit by his sword, and you're not so late that you don't get him before he turns back around. But we get it twice in a row, which I was pretty happy with. We get hit there, but not by the sword, so it's not too bad. We barely avoid that. I don't even go for that one. I didn't have a good setup. I wasn't ready. And so we're just still running. Still running. You can also bait out this really cool flip that he does when he lands in like a ground like slam. And if you do that, it's the easiest way to avoid, or sorry, to get a backstab on him. But we get another one there on his spinning dash. And I think we get the last one off of a flip, if I remember it right. I think at this point I'm fed up and I'm just trying to kill him. But I mess up and almost get killed myself right there. And we just get the flip, and so we go behind him and just finish him off. So that's actually one of the Lord of Cinder bosses that I was talking about. One of like the main ones you have to kill. There's 4 of them, yeah, including that one. And so that's the first one. There'll be 3 more. There's Yorm the Giant, Aldrich Devourer of Gods, and the last one is the Twin Princes, Lothric and Lorien. I've had runs ended to Lothric and Lorien in the Abyss Watchers, but the other 2 aren't too bad, I don't think. They're more just a chore to get done. But anyway, we go ahead and head into the catacombs. We don't need anything yet, because we're just going to be running through this area for a while. We're going to go ahead and get the upgrade materials to get +7. We're gonna head up here, and there's these annoying little like skeleton ball things that roll around. We have to get past this one because there's a Titanite shard back here. The goal here is to get the materials we need to get to +7 reinforced upgrade, whatever. And that skeleton, I have no clue where he came from still. I don't know where he was, but he chased me. We get this bonfire because we need it to come back to it later. To kill Wolner, which is a big skeleton boy. But we just wait for the ball here. We use some souls from the Abyss Watchers to get some extra levels. And then once it's gone, we can go ahead and run past. I think I got stuck on like some geometry there, but we go past these guys, and I think no, never mind. Yeah, I just lure him into the ball to get killed. Just messing around, but this skeleton right here, the Shotel skeleton, you have to actually be really careful with because he can throw those kukris at you, and they are scary. Just head to the right. My frames got scuffed here, I guess. This bridge can actually behind us, you can't see it, but there's a bunch of skeletons standing up right now to come chase us. So we knock down this bridge so that they get cut off, and then we also can use it now as like a ladder to get down to the smoldering lake area, where we're gonna get most of our upgrade materials for +7. Anyways, we just run through this guy's legs. He's not a threat. We drop down here and grab this large Titanite shard. And I'm going to be saying that a lot because that's pretty much all we're doing for the next like 5 minutes is just grabbing Titanite shards. At least the area is kind of cool, I guess. The smoldering lake is cool. But one important thing about this area is there's this enormous like triple ballista, enormous like artillery crossbow thing that'll shoot at you the entire time you're here. And so you have to time your runs and stuff through the lake really carefully. But yeah, the skeletons respawn, so this one was chasing me, so I just made sure to kill him both times. And I think the Arbalest was glitched for me here also, and so it wasn't shooting, and so I just kind of made a run for it, and then it finally started shooting at like the last second, so that scared me a bit. Yeah, but anyway, just grab the Titanite shard here. And then, later on in this run, I realized I had forgotten a large Titanite shard somewhere. It's because I skipped it back there. I was supposed to grab a second one that was nearby. But I'll get another one later on, so it's okay. But anyway, we come through here, and that crystal lizard right there, we actually need to kill for his Titanite chunk, so that we can get +7 instead of just +6 for Dancer, because she's a really hard boss. Also, that attack is just awful. I don't know why it doesn't work. But we kill him, just grab that. There's no enemies here, you don't have to be careful. But we just grab these 2 large Titanite shards, and then we head back out to the lake. There's actually, I made a wrong turn there, but there's a really cool enemy towards the end of the lake called like the Karthus Sandworm or something. You'll see it. It's a really cool enemy. I don't know. It gets me excited just because I think it's cool. But we're gonna pick up 2 more Titanite, large Titanite shards in the lake, and then we're gonna grab 1 more off a ledge. The ballista's bugging out again, so I just run for it and hide behind this tree. Yeah, I think this is where I started to realize that I messed up a bit with grabbing the shards, but I still didn't realize that I had missed one, I don't think. But once that cycle ends, we go and grab this one, and then we wait for the next cycle so that we can time it as easily as possible. So we face ourselves towards the next chunk, or shard, and then we just dodge all 3 on our way to it, so that we're as safe as possible. And that's the sandworm. And then we just get behind this tree for the next cycle. But yeah, that's the sandworm right there. I think it's so cool, honestly. It's probably one of the coolest enemies in any of the Dark Souls games to me. It's not a boss, but it looks like one. But we just run past him. He doesn't really care about us that much. The Arbalest can still shoot at you, kind of like around this corner, so you have to be careful. He can hit you when you're on this ledge right here, and if you get knocked off, if you're on low health, it could kill you, or it can hit you into the worm. So be careful. But once we grab that last one, we just head back into the Firelink Shrine, I think. Yeah, to get +7. But as you'll see up here, I think I go to upgrade and I realize, like, oh crap, I forgot a shard. And so I end up having to go back to the catacombs to get it again, which wastes like a few minutes. Like, it was pretty bad. And I almost died, I think, too. But I also give her the ashes here to unlock some new items to buy. We're gonna buy... I can't see it past the timer, but we buy, I think, 6 alluring skulls, 1 human pine resin, 3 gold pine resin, 4 charcoal pine resin, I think. I only needed 3, but I grabbed 4. And then we're gonna go do the tree jump again that I was talking about before, because we need to trade with the crow. Now that we've grabbed black fire bombs, which we got pretty early in, we need to trade with the crow again because we can get another titanite chunk, so we can get to +7. You can actually, most people will ignore that lizard I told you to kill in the cave with the chunk, and they'll also skip this, and the reason they do that is because they're confident fighting the dancer with +6 instead of +7, but I was just being careful here, and I was just doing everything I could to upgrade to +7 before the fight, instead of after. So I grabbed that, and I think I just homered bone out. I changed my mind, yeah. But coming up right here, I just realized, like, oh crap, I messed up. I grabbed some levels, you know.
Farewell, Ashen One.
I'm not sure what I'm doing yet. I'm not sure why I went back there. But yeah, I'm just gonna go over here and be like, hold up. In fact,
Pretty.
Ashen One.
I don't even know. I know where I can get one. It's just I don't know where I didn't pick one up originally. Yeah, I don't know what I did wrong. Huh. Maybe I missed one in the Smoldering Lake, but I know where a closer one is, so it's okay. just this one, you know. Or another one is that I can get right nearby, but it's a bit dangerous, so I'm kind of worried. Right, okay, so right here I'm going for a large diamond shard that I know is in here, but I'm not familiar with the enemy layout here, and so I ended up getting almost killed just because I didn't really know what I was doing. I'm trying to get that item. I'm just not doing a good job. Yeah, that's it. That was really scary. Especially right there. These showtail skeletons don't mess around. But yeah, just go through this illusory wall, and then I just dip. Alright. We're okay. That was... You can hear me, I'm really relieved, because that was scary for me. But we just get to +7 and get ready for the dancer. We actually fight the dancer early, and we can trigger the fight by killing an NPC that's in a room that we went to earlier. We talked to this woman, but if you kill her, then you can actually spawn this boss early. So normally you'd fight this one later on, but we fight it early because once you kill it, you can go past it and grab upgrade materials that you normally couldn't get until late in the game. And by killing it early and getting these early on, we can make the rest of the game so much easier for like the next like third of the run or so, because we normally wouldn't be able to have a weapon this good. But that being said, this fight is kind of a deciding factor for the run if you're not great at it, because it's pretty difficult to pull off at such a low level. It's not impossible, it's not that hard, but if you don't know what you're doing and you don't have a lot of experience with this fight, then it's incredibly risky. And for me, I kind of fall into that category because I'm not very confident here. But we kill her to get the Basin of Vows, which will let us start the fight. And we go ahead and use the gold pine, or the human pine resin, because she's weak to dark, and we'll just start being as careful as possible while trying to be aggressive still. This is a pretty RNG heavy fight too, because she has some annoying attacks like that aren't telegraphed, or at least not very well, and that kind of damages me early on. I think, yeah, and here's another one right there. I got pretty scared at that point because I'm like, alright, I already used 2 Estus splats. We barely even started, but I got a bit of a break here. I think she staggers in a second, and I can just get a lot of damage in before phase 2 starts. But I hit her as much as possible. You can dodge through that at any time, and so unless you fuck it up with that. But so it's not that much of a threat, really. That's like an AoE. I got some good RNG in the second phase though that let me finish her off. I think she even staggers here. Maybe? No, she doesn't. Yeah, I got some good RNG. So then you have 2 areas to visit now. We have to go... My dog's making noise outside, sorry. We have to go to the Consumed King's Garden, and we also need to go to Lothric Castle. And we're going to do that for Titan Chunks. You'll see, when I go into here, there's a way you can get past this Cathedral Knight that I'm about to see without triggering him, but the thing is, it's pretty difficult to pull off consistently, and I don't get it. And he's really dangerous. He's ended my run, I think, once or twice at this point, and this elevator is not safe with him there. And so I kind of just take the risk and I go in. No, I mess it up, never mind. I think at this point, yeah, I just bone out and just reset. I'm just gonna head back there to try again. But what I don't realize is that I sent the elevator down and never called it back up, so once I get there, there's not going to be an elevator. So that was my bad. This is all just kind of wasting time. In a speedrun, this would have killed my run by now. I think the world record for like the no major skips main game is something like, I think for all bosses it's like an hour and 30 minutes or like 125.
Here.
There, I'm realizing the elevator's not there. So I'm pulling it back, and I think I
could be a
dip
slight
again.
run, I guess, maybe.
And then yeah, that's scary. I try to get him to fall down into it. And he goes down, but he
my God, how
somehow
does he do
ends
that?
up in the elevator.
He's a magician, I swear to God.
Yeah, this guy's so annoying. I hate him.
No.
I get trapped on the elevator with him here. That was terrifying.
Let me off, let me off.
I missed my stop and end up in like the toxic pool down here. And he's still chasing me. This guy is relentless. He's the most dangerous enemy in the game, in my opinion. And I ended up missing my stop and not being able to
Incredible,
grab
thank
the item I needed here. So I think I send the
He's
elevator
still
back
coming.
and then bone
Just
out.
keep
Yeah, he's still
coming.
coming for me. It's a complete joke. I hate it. But I think I go back up and reset again. Just because he's being annoying. Actually, I don't think I reset. Yeah, I think I just go from here. There's an Estus shard here you can grab if you want. But I just keep going. There's a 10 chunk. And we just run along the left side and avoid these. I'm not sure what they're called. I think they're called like pus of man or something. Anyway, we just go past them. This one fucks me up and actually gets me pretty close to dying, so that was scary. Especially because I'm toxic right now. I've got poison. I grab a Titanite chunk and keep going. I get a second one from over here. And at this point, I'm too scared to even try to go past this guy. And I realize that I'm gonna die from poison before I can even make it back, and so I just bone out again. And I'm gonna skip ahead here because I pretty much just run back to where I was, except I think, oh no, I went back to Firelink to grab undead bone shards.
Ashen.
Well, that hey. Farewell, Ashen One.
But I think I end up, on this try, I ended up getting the exploit that lets you get past the Cathedral Knight without him being provoked. So you start walking right there, and then you stand right here in this exact spot. And he got a little bit more aggressive than normal, but he ended up backing off eventually. I think I tried throwing an Alluring Skull, but turns out they don't work on him. But I just stand in that spot. And eventually he leaves. And I just sneak up behind him and go down. So it worked out. but we just backtrack. My voice. And just get back to this elevator because we need one more chunk from over here. Right up here, we're going to run and stand behind this staircase because he fires like a blow dart at you that you can block there, and then just run past the second one. And I don't think I was fast enough, but normally you can stay along this wall when you grab the chunk, and it'll get the second assassin to leave you alone. You leave this aggro range, I think. But I don't know why, it didn't work that time, so he was on me, but it ended up being fine. Then I'm gonna head to Lothric Castle because I need to grab the rest of the Titanite chunks. And I need the shortcut to get to Dragon Slayer armor. Armor. God, I don't speak English, but we walk here because this knight will stand up and start walking past us. But he won't notice us if we're quiet. And then once we're past him, we need to grab these souls just because it's so valuable. It's not worth just letting it sit there. That's worth like a level. So then we head back up to the left, and we're gonna just kind of sit here for a minute. And the reason we do that is so that these two knights can pass by us without getting provoked. Because they're just not worth dealing with, and they'll chase you a long way, and they'll actually kind of fuck you up. Actually, I don't think they'll chase you past that door frame most of the time, but it's just not worth the risk. And so we just kind of do that to stay safe. In a speed run, you'd run past them, but I don't know, I didn't really care enough. We still need, I think we're going to grab 4 chunks, but we really only need 3. But at the time, I didn't realize that. But we grab one here. Oh, we're going to grab actually a lot of chunks, like 7. We provoke that guy just to try to get him down here on his own so we can fight him without the archer. So once he's down, we just take him out. And then we're going to run past and kill the archer. So this part is pretty hectic, but we need to get this guy out of the way so that we can come and grab... I forgot about this archer. Oh yeah. But we need to get Titanite chunk from here, and then we need to go past and grab 2 more from nearby. But I'm going to get rid of all these enemies, I guess, first. Even if I mess it up pretty bad there. There's these guys hiding right here that you should knock off so they don't climb over, but we grab that. And then there's 2 more down here that we're gonna get, but there's this annoying guy with an enormous halberd, so we need to use the lowering skulls just to do it as safely as we can. You don't have to, most people don't, but I like to. But then we just throw another one. I thought I got hit there, but no. But that'll distract him for long enough to get by if you throw 2. And now we just need like 2 more chunks. And the way we get those is kind of unique. They're down here in like this ravine, and to get over the rampart on the way there, or the wall, we actually use one of these suits of armor as like a ramp. And if you hit it just right between the legs and going up to the head, you can get over it. But if you come at an angle, you'll actually destroy the armor and have to reset from the nearest bonfire. So you need to be careful. But we grab these 2 chunks, or we actually get 3 even though we only need 2. But I think at the time I didn't realize that. So then we head back to this bonfire we just got. And we're gonna do the armor skip one more time. It's not really a skip. The reason you do it is to avoid going on the bridge, because if you do, it triggers these dragons to come down and start breathing fire everywhere. And it doesn't save any time. It saves like 1 second probably, instead of going onto the bridge and dropping down. But it doesn't trigger the dragons. It's not really even like a skip. It's just a way to get next to the bridge without triggering it. But right here we throw another alluring skull because there's a bunch of enemies here. And just one of them is enough to get past them. Then we're going to head inside of the castle and under the dragons here. there's going to be a lot of guys in this room, and normally there would be skulls that you'd use here too, but I decided to save them because I wanted them for the deacons, or the way to the deacons. There's something unique right here you'll see, where when I drop off, there's going to be a Lothric Knight right there, and I actually roll into this wall, and I stand here for about a second, and then I keep going, and the reason I do that is because it really increases the odds of him, instead of swinging at you, actually buffing his sword like that, so that you're not going to get hit. And then, actually no, I already had, that was just enough chunks that I had just gotten. And then I send down the elevator there, and then I come back. The reason we send the elevator down is as a shortcut to get to armor, Dragon Slayer armor in a second. Or a little bit later from now. Actually, a lot later from now. But I get an extra chunk. Actually, I think I might even have 2 extra. But we just head back and go ahead and upgrade our stuff to +9. And you'll see the next 2 bosses we're going to kill are not meant to be killed this late in the game. And especially not with a +9 weapon. And so they'll be incredibly easy. The run to get to them is much more dangerous than the actual fights themselves, as long as you do them right.
Be careful.
I don't remember what I'm even buying here. Nothing. Okay.
Ashen
Awesome. Good job. And then I go back because I want to sell some souls. I can get like 1 level here, but whatever. Just level throughout your run. You don't have to match my levels. In fact, don't match my levels. I just prefer to get 25 vigor at least, and then as much dexterity as I can just for damage. And I made a mistake here. I made a big mistake on this run. Instead of going to kill the guys I was supposed to kill, I actually went to Wolnir and killed him instead, even though I wasn't supposed to. It took me a second after I killed him even to realize, like, wait a second, that's not where I was supposed to go. But I didn't even have a split for Wolnir. I had completely forgotten about him, but you know what? Maybe if he was a better boss, then he would deserve one. So, as it stands, he might be the worst boss in the game. Nah, one of them at least. But he's really cool looking. I think he's one of the aesthetically, like, coolest bosses in the game. I learned my lesson here, and I roll, and I try to break line of sight so I don't get hit by throwing knives. But we're just going back the same way we came from earlier in the catacombs, and we're gonna break the bridge again. But instead of climbing down the bridge like we did last time, we're just gonna head straight into the boss room that's coming up. We still break the bridge because it stops the skeletons from chasing us from behind and catching up to us. And we just head into this boss room. We're gonna use the charcoal pine resin here, one of the ones we bought earlier. Just because it is, you know, more effective than any other kind of resin, I think, or more easy to get. So we run to the right side instead of going straight for the item, so that we can surprise him without him getting aggroed earlier. And we just try to break these bracelets as fast as we can. I get hit here. I always get hit by that. But we just break these bracelets. Each one takes out a third of his health, so once you hit the last one, the fight's pretty much over. You can't get too close to his torso though, because there's a poison cloud that will kill you instantly if you touch it. Or almost instantly. So we need to make sure that we're not getting too close, but we just hit the last standing off. And then that's the end of that. Honestly, if you absolutely want to, you can kill Wolnir here. There's no reason not to. It's just not as fast or efficient. But by doing this, I actually ended up getting a ring early that we're gonna need. So I mean, that's something, I guess, if that's somehow a good reason to you. But you don't need it for these other guys we're about to kill because they're so easy anyway. This is where I realized, like, wait a minute, I didn't need to come here. And so I grabbed this bonfire so I can come back later. But I still go to the bridge because I want to spawn this crocodile beast to kill for the ring. This ring, what it'll allow us to do is every time we hit, like, an enemy, after we've hit him a certain number of times, like successive in a row, then they'll take extra damage, or we'll deal extra damage for a few seconds. So basically successive attacks will do extra damage, is what it means. And then we're gonna go back to the halfway fortress so we can kill the crystal sage. I think Crystal Sage might be my least favorite boss in the game. I absolutely hate this boss. It has... Back when I was starting to do no death, I would fight Sage as early as possible, and I swear to God it ended so many of my runs. It pissed me off. It's so RNG based and stuff, it made me so mad. But we stood to the left of this area still, and the reason we do that is because I think we can still get invaded by Heisel if we don't stay out of the middle. And also there's a dog there on the right. If you don't stay close enough to the left, you'll trigger him. But we just go into here, and we'll just be running through the boss room. There's not really anything special in here. Sorry, my voice is starting to get annoying and hard to talk. Because I've been talking non-stop for about an hour now, so... Ignore that guy. The strat for Sage is to parry one attack, which is actually really easy. As soon as his weapon starts moving towards you when he does this melee, right now, then parry, and once you get it, do the parry. Make sure you're two-handing now, use a charcoal pine bundle, and just finish him off with L2s, or L1s. He's super easy to kill, it's not a problem. Just get that parry, repost him, charcoal pine bundle, and then just finish him off. You can, if you don't kill him fast enough, then he'll actually, in his second phase, spawn 4 of himself, so make sure you don't fuck it up. That's why we wait so long to go here, is because Sage can be just annoying if you fight him when you're supposed to. It's just genuinely a really annoying and unfair fight. But anyway, we go up here. I think I might use some alluring skulls, but I might also just not bother with it. There's some dogs up here and stuff. Just ignore that NPC. That sometimes I use a skull for. But I think I just chose not to here. It's because I didn't feel like it. I just finished him off with my sword. They're one-hit kills when you have +9 in this area anyway. I didn't even need to do that. I think I was trying to sneak by here. But looking back, I don't know why. I think I tried to get his attention and surprise him, but I don't know. I got this dog's attention though, so that's annoying. But whatever. For this next area, I think I don't get this bonfire. No, I do. I do get this bonfire because I mess up getting past this guy right here. Normally this guy's not a threat, you just walk past him, but I actually messed up the timing here and got jumped by him. And I decided, because I wouldn't be hitting another bonfire before the boss, that I would just rest up here. But we have a long way to run before our next fight. This is, in my opinion, the most annoying place in the main game to run through. It's not the hardest, I wouldn't say. Well, it might be. But it's just really long and annoying to go through. So we're just gonna head up to the right. There's a Estus shard you can grab here. So I just cleared out some of these guys. But we're gonna stick to the right side of this little cemetery here, and just run past these guys. They can't really do anything. And we're gonna drop down once we get the chance right here, and that'll just let us get past some of the guys who might be blocking our path, just to avoid like getting hit or whatever. It's a little bit faster too, I think. But there's this guy here. Just roll past him if you have to. It's not a big deal. Just make sure those maggot dudes don't hit you, because if they do, then you get this blood loss effect that's really annoying and takes out a bunch of your health. If you get that, then I would just homeward bone back to the bonfire. But you can take a detour here to get the undead bone shard. You don't have to. I just like to do it to be safe. But whatever, it doesn't matter. Also, it lets me get past this warden a little bit easier. Like a little bit easier, not really. Those grave wardens are really dangerous, and you'll see what we do when we see two of them up here that are together. But for now, we just run past that one, and he will lose us eventually. This is the hardest part, maybe in the game to run, is this spot right here. So we wait for them to shoot their second arrows, and we run past, and we take a jump onto here, over the ledge, and land on here. We run up top, and we play this area much safer by dropping down on top of this little mausoleum. And I mess it up, but we just run to the right, we jump to get a little bit more distance in between the enemies, and then we throw an alluring skull forward right here, and that's going to distract the first grave warden, and we throw a second one to distract both of them, so we can run past. And I don't know what happened there, I think he like teleported in midair or some shit, but as long as you throw those skulls kind of a little bit decently, it doesn't have to be very precise at all, just as long as it gets their attention for long enough, then you can run past this door without having to bother with anything. But if they do chase you, quit out, because it is not worth risking a death to them. And if they are chasing you and you decide not to fight them, you can turn left in a second to get the elevator and go back for the bonfire if you're uncomfortable, or if you took damage getting up to this point, whether it's from the grave warden or not. You can take the elevator back to the bonfire for a shortcut. But if not, then just keep going. This giant is more bark than bite, really. He's not very dangerous, unless you mess up right here and get stuck. But we grab the Lord's Sword Ring that lets us do extra damage at full health, and just get absolutely fucked by the giant because we took too long to get through here. But just dodge his attacks. It's not that big of a deal usually, because you can get through before he even gets a chance to really swing at you, unless you fuck it up like I did and get stuck on a corner. And then we just keep running. And I think we're gonna pull out the dagger in a second again, because there's another like deep swampy area coming up that we're gonna dash through. But after that we get into the boss fight, which is easy, but I like to play it carefully and take it a bit slow. There's an invasion here, it doesn't matter. It just means you can't turn back until you've died or killed the boss, or entered the boss, sorry. But the boss is right here, so it doesn't matter. But we just jump through there with the dagger, and then we just continue forward. The boss fight is going to be behind this main like cathedral like area right here. And the trick for this is there will be one like red flame that teleports between the deacons and like possesses them, and we have to hit and kill the one that has the red flame until the boss is at about half health. And every time you kill it, the flame will go to a new one. But the reason we go to the back here is because at half health, a main like archdeacon will spawn, and then you just have to kill him. But the reason we go to the back is because he'll always spawn in the front of the boss arena. But by getting all the enemies to the back, we can make sure that once he spawns, he'll be completely alone, because all the enemies will be on the other side of the arena, and we can just finish them off kind of like in peace. So we're gonna start taking these guys out now that we have some distance from the front, where the archdeacon will spawn, and I think we have to kill 5 of them. It's not very dangerous. Just be careful not to get stuck in the middle. Just kind of circle around them. I had a weird thing happen here where the flame went to one that had just spawned at the front. That doesn't usually happen, but if it does, it doesn't really make a big difference. Just go kill him. Gonna finish off, I think, one more now. No, I went a bit early, but I messed up. I lost count. But yeah, I finish off this one, and then we head over to the front, and I'm gonna use, I think, a charcoal pine bundle to finish him off more reliably. I kind of do a bad job managing my stamina, but anyway, I take him out. You don't have to use a pine bundle or anything. I just like to stay a little bit quicker and safer. But we finish him off, and that will actually grant us access to Irithil, so we can move on with the game. The crocodile beast we killed on the bridge, like 10 or 20 minutes ago or whatever, is going to be the spot we go to again. And the reason we had to do this before we came back to there was because we need an item to be able to go across the bridge without getting blocked by like this big like magic barrier that we just got from killing the deacons right there. At this point, I think we have 3 more Lords of Cinder still. The Abyss Watcher is the only one we've killed so far, but the next few are going to come really close together, so... I did my split a bit late right there, but I kind of got it, I guess. I think this is where I realized that I hadn't even put on the rings that I had been collecting. But it doesn't matter. That area was pretty much like no big deal anyway, because you're so over leveled at this point. But coming back into this area, you're going to be at about normal level again, so you can't be overconfident here. I've had a run ended right up on this staircase that you can see from right here. There's a series of these Pontiff Knights who can, they have like swords that turn into whips or whatever, like they extend almost. And I got just chain hit by like 4 attacks in a row from these guys. I had one chasing me here. I didn't even bother to like try to lure out an attack because the last time I did that I got killed. So I just keep going. I got a little bit of trouble from these Fire Witch like bishops or whatever they're called. I like to call them bishops, I think that's cool. But I think I got hit like once or twice here. Yeah, and then I just head around to the left, and the reason we have to come around to here... Yeah, that fire trail will chase you to the end of the earth, I swear. But you just... it's still going. But I hide in the corner here to let these 2 Pontiff Knights pass. That growling, I don't know if you can hear it, but there's like growling coming from down there. It's like this crazy evangelist that's just kind of chilling. You can see her in the corner, but... once they're gone, we can go ahead and pass. I think I got some frame drops there, but whatever. God, my throat hurts. I've been talking for like an hour. But we're gonna head over to the left, and you can get that bonfire if you want. It's just we don't really need it. I like to make a detour over here. Instead of going left like you normally would, I like to go to the right. And I do this to grab 2 items. I grab a stack of Homeward Bones from this guy. And I also grab, behind the gravestone is a Undead Bone Shard. Which lets us heal more for every time we use a healing item. But we're just going to keep progressing. Irithyll is another kind of area where you're pretty much just running for a long time through just an enormous, overly complicated area. I'm not a fan of that kind of thing. I don't really like the Cathedral or Irithyll or anything. But, I don't know. It's a pretty area, at least. I mean, look at that. But we're going to head down to the lake. If you've decided not to kill the swamp or the crocodile beast for whatever reason, which you should have already done, he'll actually spawn down here and give you a bunch of trouble as you go through this lake. But one really cool thing about here, as we pick up all these budding blossoms, or these green blossoms, is this is like a special material or liquid in the game, where as you traverse it, if you're rolling, then your health or your speed will go down normally, but if you do a sprint through it, you can actually regain stamina as you're sprinting, which I think might be the only spot that you can do that in. Might be. There might be 1 or 2 other spots, but that water is unique, I guess, kind of. You might be able to do that in, like, Fern Swamp. Like the Halfway Fortress area. I don't know. But we just keep going forward. There's these really creepy, grudge-looking women spider things here. Just run past them. They're not too bad. There's some Estes soup on the right. There's only like 3 of them in the game, but you can drink that to get some of your shit. And then we're coming up on a pretty difficult spot to run through, where there's going to be a bunch of like mages and dogs. And we're going to probably use some alluring skulls. Yeah, we're going to use some alluring skulls to get through there. But what's important to note about this is there's an invasion that happens. And so once you come into this area, if anything goes wrong, you can't do anything about it. You're going to have to just keep going into the boss fight. At least until you get to the gate. Because you can't teleport back while there's an invader. But I keep going through. I try to throw a skull here, I mess it up. But I throw one, and I think I get a glitch that can happen sometimes where enemies just don't care about the alluring skulls, and the dogs still keep chasing me. Also because dogs are, like, ascended in this game for whatever reason. But it ends up being fine. It's kind of annoying because I'm about to go into a boss fight. But this boss fight, the strat is to parry one attack, get a riposte, do that one more time, get another parry and riposte, yeah, and then finish him off using a charcoal pine bundle. But I had a lot of trouble with this fight, and it came really close. Now, before you laugh at me, I want to explain 2 things. I couldn't get the parry because I swear to God my frames were scuffed the entire fight and the game was like lagging like crazy. You can look in the top left, it's not at 60 frames probably at any point. But if you still don't believe me that I didn't, there it's at 60, whatever. But if you still don't believe that it wasn't my fault, I have another video on my channel you can come check out where I beat this boss at soul level 1 without taking any damage. So suck my toes if you don't believe me. But yeah, I still haven't gotten the parry, which normally you should get on the first attack. But I've done it before, shut up. That combo is scary. This one right here. If you're too close to that when he starts it and you run out of stamina, you're probably gonna die. But I actually get a parry in here. That takes out about a quarter-ish, a third-ish. And then instead of hitting him again, I just wait to parry him one more time, because it's the way to get the most damage in before he changes phases. Yeah, but it's lagging like crazy for me in this fight for whatever reason. I think it's just because like the benches are being broken and stuff, and that's doing physics, I don't know. I still haven't gotten it. This is really pathetic, but I'm running out of healing at this point, which is scary. Yeah, but my frames are terrible. Yeah, that was scary right there. You can hear me, I think I said like fuck under my breath, but I think I get another parry here. No, still messed it up. At this point I should have just homeward boned and come back, but I still kept going for it. It was irresponsible. I should have gone if you came back, but I didn't. I finally got the next parry after way too long. And he's gonna start transforming here, so we take this time to buff and get a few hits in before he starts to do his AoE. And then once he does this, he'll start to summon a clone. So while he's in this little stance, you can just finish him off. Make sure you use your resin though, or a bundle, because if you don't, and he has that clone going with him, you're in a lot of trouble. But after this, we need to go kill Aldrich. And I forgot to do the split again. Good job, man. There's not anything to pick up for like the next fucking like 10 minutes. You just run. I hate this part of the run so much. You just walk. There's these 2 guys here. Whatever, I don't care. I actually almost lost a run right here one time because I dropped off the side on accident, but I quit out before I died, so I was okay. But these archers will knock you off the edge if they hit you, so be very careful and drop off onto this ledge as soon as you can so you can stay safe. But once you're past them, you're not in too much danger. You can just dodge their arrows as they go, and just stay along the right side. There's an archer that likes to sit in this corner over here and surprise you, so just watch out for that. And just head down. So by lowering this staircase, we can open up the next area, and Aldrich is one of the main Lord of Cinder bosses that we have to kill, so he's really close. I think I quit out right here because I wasn't sure what split I was on or something. But, whatever. You can get this bonfire if you want, if you're not comfortable with the fight. But, I rested at it just to get my Estus up. I don't know, just in case. I think this is the farthest I've ever gotten with no deaths, and so I was pretty nervous. Actually, no, I've gotten all the way to Twin Princes one time and then died. That sucked. So I was really careful this time with Twin Princes. But we just come up here and then go around to the other side of the cathedral and drop down at the bottom. And then we'll be at the fog gate. I think I might have been looking up around this part what kind of resin to use, but just for reference, you should be using charcoal pine resin. You can use lightning pine resin too if you want, but I think charcoal is just cheaper and more available. So I like to buff before I go into the fog gate, because I want to be able to just run up to the boss the second I get in there. But normally I would buff inside for the other bosses. I get lucky here, I get arrow on first phase, which means I can go around the back and just start swinging at him. In second phase, arrow is really dangerous, but in first phase it's different and it's way easier to deal with. He teleports back up. I think I'm just gonna get some more hits in. There's better ways to do this boss. This is just how I do it, because this is how I am familiar with it. I risked a lot right here. I got really close to getting arrowed, I think, but he ended up doing that instead, luckily. And I think I just finished him off here. If you hit him on the torso, you do a lot more damage. So try to do that. You do like twice as much, I think. So try to hit him on the actual like body part. But now that's another Lord of Cinder. And the only two left are Yorm the Giant and the Twin Princes. So we're going to do Yorm next. So we teleport back to the distant manor that we got earlier. And we're going to just go ahead and start heading down to the Irithyll dungeon. I don't know why that guy was running away. But there's another bishop here, so be careful. He can actually do a fire trail that leads all the way down this path. And if you stay too far to the right, you might get knocked off. So I like to stay to the left. One part here that's really unfortunate is there's an invasion. Which means you're not going to be able to use any bonfires all the way up through the next boss, which is a long way. Yorm isn't a tough boss, really. Yeah, really. As long as you're not unfamiliar with how to do it. It's not too scary, but the run up to it takes a bit of damage just from falling and stuff, so I was nervous. But make sure you get that pale pine resin, because we're going to need it later on for Dragon Slayer armor. But anyway, just head through here. Just try not to stay along the jailers for too long, because they can actually do like a really annoying attack where if they look at you for long enough, it will actually lower your like maximum health for a little bit. So that's really annoying. But we're just going to continue through here. There's a way you can skip this area by dropping down, but I don't know how to do it, and I think it might have been patched out. So I just like to go through. But these guys are just like the Undead Settlement guys, where you can just run into them to stagger them, which is really nice. But then we're just going to continue through here. I think there's a few rats to kill. And I realized that I didn't have 2 weapons out by the time it was too late. So I ended up just parrying nothing instead of swinging. But I don't know, I just finished these guys off. There's some more in the tunnel. You want to finish them off just because they'll block you, and that many rats is pretty dangerous to just ignore. But we get rid of these big ones too, just to be safe. And we're almost to Yorm at this. Well, no, we're almost to the Profane Capital, which is where Yorm is. We're just gonna head over to the right here. If you want to, you can grab the Xanthus ashes from the left here. There's no real reason for you to do it, but if you really aren't confident and you're just doing practice, and you think you might want more gold pine resin, then I would grab those out of the cell on the left side of that room, because it'll let you buy infinite gold pine resin if you want to practice. But this bridge right here has me nervous because I actually lost a run here because I was running across the bridge and I got knocked off by this guy. I think I actually got hit by that attack here, but luckily it hit me forward even though it was going to the side. If that had actually hit me to the side, that probably would have ended the run. But it went forward instead, so we were okay. But we're continuing forward. I think at this point I realized that I had an invader, and so I couldn't rest at the bonfire, which was really scary to me. But I don't know, I just kept going. I was like, oh shit, what do I do? But just don't let it get in your head. Yorm isn't a tough boss. It's a gimmick, and you can do it. I believe. I don't know. Maybe if you watch this and you go do it and you pull it off, then I'll give you a hug. So I'm so sorry. But we just head down here. We take some fall damage, which sucks, but it's not too bad. I got hit by a fireball. Don't do that. But just head up, and we're gonna go into the gate here. If I was really uncomfortable with the situation, what I could do is I could head into the fog gate, so it gets rid of the invader, and then I could just homeward bone back to the bonfire and get all my Estus back, so I could heal up during this fight whenever I needed. But I think I ended up sticking it out and just going for it for time's sake, which is how I got a sub 145. Otherwise, I might not have. But you'll see me switching around my gear here. It's because we're actually going to pick up a weapon in the back that we need to use to kill this boss, called the Stormwiller. And you'll see what it does in a second, but I switch around my stuff so that my weight isn't too high to be able to roll. And how this weapon works is you can charge it up like this, and then release it all in like a big wind thing. And you have to do that 5 times to kill a boss. So you have 2 there, and then you need 3 more. But after 1 to 2 hits, he'll do this, where he buffs up into stage 2, which is kind of scary, but just keep swinging at him. You can hit him there, even though he's in an animation. It just won't stagger him, but it doesn't matter. I stick that one out. That was irresponsible. You should just, if he's coming close to you and you're charging up a thing, then just don't do it. Just cancel it. That time it was way too close to you. But I lower out that little slam there,
so that I can have time to hit him one more time. If you stay close to his feet and charge while you're walking away from him, you have a pretty good chance of getting that slam attack, which will allow you to have time to charge it easily. I'm laughing because I think I'm laughing in the video because I'm really relieved. I was scared. I think we're gonna head back to the Firelink Shrine to get some levels, and I think we're only about 20 minutes out from the end of the run now. We have, I didn't do the split here, but you have, I think, 3 more bosses to go, so you're really close.
So we could get a 135.
I'm wasting a lot of time here. Looking back, that was kind of stupid, but I think I was just really nervous to keep going because this is my first time. Where I was starting to think like, maybe I have it. Well, not my first time. I had one, like I said, that ended at the Twin Princes, so I'm still really nervous because I know it's not like done yet. I know I still have a little while before I'm safe. I put a couple points, I think, into endurance. Maybe no, I don't. But you can do that if you want. It's definitely a good option for stamina. I had some Estus shards, I think, that I forgot to give him, but doesn't matter, I guess. But we're gonna go ahead and head back to the Dancer bonfire because we can take an elevator that we sent down earlier from Lothric Castle to get to Dragon Slayer armor, which is one of my favorite bosses. I really love Dragon Slayer. I love his music. I think his OST is second best in the game after Soul of Cinder. For Dragon Slayer, we're gonna be using the Pale Pine Resin, which does magic damage, which he's weak to. This elevator is so slow, it's unbearable. But yeah, so that's Dragon Slayer. Well, he's kind of like an empty suit of armor that's being controlled by that big thing you just saw with the wings, but I don't know, that's nerd shit, who cares. Anyway, we use the Pale Pine Resin right here, and we pretty much are just hitting it until we get openings, or we're just waiting and dodging until we get openings, and just making sure not to get too close to the edge of the bridge, because he knocks out the edges, or the rails, and you can get hit off. It's not very common though. He can't fall off though, so don't try to do that. In second phase, the butterflies that are flying around can actually shoot stuff at you, so be very careful. But once he staggers you going into phase 2, you can get some hits on him for free. Make sure you dodge those big charged attacks because they can like two-shot you. I had a really scary thing here where I got blocked and knocked to the side. If this attack had hit me, I think that would have been game over because I think it would have hit me off the edge. Probably, but luckily I recovered and I got out of it. But yeah, that was a really, really scary moment for me. And just a reminder that you're not safe at any point in your run. As peaceful as it may seem, you're probably like one wrong move, one wrong button press away from losing the run at any point. I have runs where, I've walked off the edge of a fucking cliff when there's no enemies around and just lost a run. Like an hour in the Pontiff split, or the Aldrich split. Luckily, actually that time, I was thinking on my feet, and I quit out before I hit the kill barrier, but if I hadn't been like frame perfect on quitting out, then that would have definitely been a run over. I got lucky. That was stupid. But just be careful, I guess, because it's heartbreaking really once you're this far in and something goes wrong. It makes you not want to play it anymore or not try again. At least for me, for a little bit, and then I'll come right back. Like the next day I'll be like, dude, I gotta make that up because that was pathetic. I don't know. Maybe that's healthy for me. Maybe it's not. You know what? It isn't, but but we grabbed the key to this archives here, and we only have 2 more bosses to go. We need the Twin Princes and the Solo Cinder. This is a pretty annoying path to take through the Grand Archives, but it's also pretty safe. So just follow where I go, and you should be fine. We're going to be ascending up to the top of the building to go to Twin Princes. You don't need any items here. We're already done picking shit up at this point. This Crystal Sage isn't really a threat all that much. He can be kind of scary if you're doing like no hit or something, but those assassins, like the one that just hit me, are scarier in my opinion. But just drop off right here. And then we're gonna cross the bridge. The Sage can actually teleport onto this bridge as you cross it, so make sure you stay to the side, because if you don't, you can get stuck on him as he teleports in. I've had that happen one time. It didn't end up being anything bad, but it could have been, so be careful. These guys with the magic, if you get hit by a couple of those, it can actually take out your health a lot faster than you might expect. So it's not hard to dodge, but just don't take it like it's no big deal. Just make sure you're careful. Then we're going to keep going up on the roof. This gargoyle, I think, hits me. Yeah, that was scary. Falling down under here and having him chase me. Yeah, that was terrifying because my health was getting low and there's a knight right here. But there's a way to lure that guy out and get him to leave you alone. If you first walk out onto the roof and throw a firebomb over a ledge, you can get him to come to you, and you can actually get him to like fall off a cliff on this side. Which I think I've done like one time, but it's maybe if you're doing like a no-hit and run, you care. But I don't know, I was just trying to get through. These NPCs, you can pretty much just run past them. Just make sure you break line of sight with the mage as soon as you can, or the caster. And then we're just going to keep running up towards the boss fight, which is at the end of this bridge. Except we're going to take one little detour off to the right side. And the reason we're going to do that is to just be able to hit the bonfire and get our Estus back. I wouldn't recommend this if you are confident in this fight, but the thing is, my last run where I got to the Twin Princes, I ended up dying on him, and so I was just not confident enough to do this fight without first having full Estus. So I just wait for the elevator to come down so I can have the shortcut, and then I just warp back so I can get my stuff refilled. And at this point, we're cutting it pretty close, considering we want to get at 145 or lower, which is my goal, other than, you know, not dying. But we ended up being okay, I think, probably. Yeah, I don't know why I pretended I didn't know for a second there, because I do know. But, sorry. But, we just head back to the elevator, then we're going to go into the fight. There's some important stuff to note here. Lothric and Lorien in the second phase have this really annoying thing that they'll do at the start where they'll cast a like barrage of magic at you, and while you're oh yes, I have to mention this. As I was playing right here, my controller died, and I had to Alt F4 my game. So if you consider that cheating, then I guess my run is invalid. But to me, if I had on my controller, I could have just hit quit game. There's no reason I couldn't have. I wasn't invaded, so I don't think it's any different than just hitting Alt F4. And the reason I had to do that once again is because my controller died. I think if I had been walking a little bit more to the left and I had walked over the button on the elevator, I think my character would have walked off the edge of the elevator and died. So I'm really, really glad that that wasn't a problem and that I was like 2 pixels to the right. But I'm just gonna go ahead and skip ahead to back when I start the game. I just want to show you once I come back in. I have all my levels and stuff the same. I have all my items in the same spots. Nothing's changed. I just want to show that I didn't splice anything. Which I guess I can't 100% prove, but I don't really have a reason to lie. This isn't an impressive time. I just wanted to show that I made it. So, I'm going to head back up. This time with my controller plugged in and not dead. One thing that had me scared was, at this point, I didn't have my controller on Bluetooth or anything. It was just connected via, like, a USB cord. And so I was kind of scared, like, if that cord isn't solid or, like, it slips or something, then, and I disconnect my controller again, like, oh, that was scary. But it ended up being okay. It doesn't disconnect again, but like I was talking about here, in the second phase at the start, they'll send, like, this barrage of magic at you. And so what you want to do is you want to walk back to the fog gate where you came in from and just stay up against the fog gate and just hug it. And what that will do is make it so they can't teleport at you, which they'll do throughout the fight. They can't teleport at you while you're hugging that fog gate at that exact time. And it'll let you safely, like, dodge the projectiles and reapply your cold primary. So bad start. In the first phase, you're just fighting Lorian, but in the second phase, Lothric will, like, kind of piggyback right in, and you have to kill him too. It's kind of funny. They're just both crippled, so this guy doesn't have, like, working legs, and then the other one is just, like, a vegetable. So that's pretty dope. Yeah, I almost died there, actually, because I'm retarded. But I was terrified right here, because this magic barrage is what killed me last time. Because what happened was I didn't get back to the fog gate in time when I got teleported at and surprised. So I just sprint to the fog gate the first time I get the chance. And I'm just kind of, like, walking back and forth to dodge at least most of the projectiles. And you'll see while I'm up here, they can't teleport directly to me. They can just kind of teleport forward, like, a little bit at a time. So I have, like, a solid 15 seconds or 10 seconds to just reapply my buffs and get in there. And yet I still mess it up somehow. But yeah, I got hit by something big right there. So at this point I'm scared, like, and then this comes out, so I'm about to, like, homeward bone out and reset, but I decided I wanted the 145, and so I just keep going. And it ended up working out. So I'm really glad it did, because I was so close to just messing it up again at the spot. I would have been heartbroken, honestly. But once you get Lorian's health all the way down, Lothric will fall off and you can just finish him off before he revives it. And at this point, I'm just doing gestures because I'm so happy. I was so scared I wasn't gonna get it. But the only boss left now is the Soul of Cinder. And once you finish that, you're all good. So there's one more to go. One thing you have to do before you go to the... One thing you have to do before you go to the Soul of Cinder is just take a second to place the ashes of all the main bosses on the thrones in Firelink Shrine so you can unlock, what do you call it, the final boss.
Farewell, Ashen.
But I'm just using up the last little bits of souls I have to try to get some levels in for the fight. And so I ended up getting to 55 decks, which is pretty good. And we're gonna rest, try some bone shards if we have them. And then I'm gonna go place the ashes. I think I try to do some like little speedrun skips here that I don't know how to, and it takes me a few tries, but I think I ended up getting both of them where on 2 of the thrones you can skip the animation, or at least part of it. The middle one and the one to the right of it. I think I messed up the first try on the middle one, but then I go back and do it again, I actually get it, so that was kind of cool. But right here, you like offer it, and then you step off as you place it, and you can skip part of the animation. That one you can skip the entire animation. But these other 2 you have to do normally. But then we just head to the center bonfire, and it'll warp us to the kiln. I don't know why I got that bonfire. I think it was just in case I died. Oh god, my voice. Sorry. One more thing I just want to say. Soul of Cinder has the best music in the entire game. I'm just saying. So just get ready. Oh, and we're gonna use gold piner treatment, by the way. So there it is. That's my no death run. That took me what, like 4 years. So I'll just let my reaction play because it's pretty
Let's
fun.
go, dude. Holy shit. Oh my god, hold up, wait. This is kind of hitting me that,
I mean, you know, I did it. Like, I've played this game for like what, 4 years since it, no, 5 years, no, 4 years since it came out. Actually, it's just under 4 years, I think, and I've been playing it since like the day it came out, and never before have I beat this without dying a single time. So this is kind of surreal for me, I think. It's also like 2 a.m., so that might have something to do with it. But yeah, I'm like